Hello. Oh my goodness. What a change of events that was. Holy shit. What a game. What a hockey game that one was to be at. What a hockey game that one was to watch. Just what it means, what it might mean moving forward. Like, oh my God. The Marc-Andre Fleury story, the challenge, the change in lines, overtime winner twice in a row. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, that's all that you can say. And like, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know how much, like, what a change it is from where we were with 1 minute and 12 seconds or whatever it was, where they review it for a kick. And it's real clearly not a kick. Like, I know he tried to, like, kick it afterwards, like, whatever, but it's not going to be a kick. Like, you could see the replay once. It's like, oh, okay, it's a kick. So now you're like, all right, what now? The goalie's going to come out. What's going to happen? All that. And then they announced that it's an offside challenge. And at that point, like, I don't know how you guys were, but for me, I'm like, oh, shit, okay, it's tied again. The moment he said offside challenge, I'm like, oh, it's tied. All right, we're tied, because they don't lose offside challenges. They don't get offside challenges wrong because they have frame by frame, and it's clear he's offside. That is no goal. That didn't happen. But it's like Fleury coming in and them stepping all over the Golden Knights in the third period, to that happening, to then overtime, and now the Golden Knights are the better team in overtime. And it's like, the whole thing is just like, there's just so much going on. It's just such a wacky situation. And you walk away from it and you just have to take like a deep breath and say, like, okay, well, where are we now? What does it say about the series? Where are we now? And really, like, we're in pretty darn good shape. About as good a shape as you can possibly be in, I guess, from where we were a couple of days ago to now where we are here. Pretty damn good shape. And I don't really know how they've gotten here. Like, I guess there's a lot of good to take out of this game. And obviously, anytime you win in overtime now 2 in a row, the biggest takeaway, and it's been this way basically the entire season, and I don't know why that has to change and why this team's live to do all sorts of different things as we move forward, despite the fact that they're in a dogfight with a team that we're not sure how great they are, and we'll see as we move forward. But either way, the biggest piece that you can take out of this, and it's abundantly clear, is these guys find ways. They understand what it takes to somehow come out of these games ahead. Throwing a puck at Tomas Hertl's dead body and putting it into the net. Hopping on their mistake and putting it in front and shoveling it into the back. Having this much of a skate be into the offensive zone to save yourself from a pretty terrible third period, to then turning around and being the better team, and having a guy who's played 18 seconds in the overtime and 7 minutes in the entire game and didn't play the first 2 games be able to make an awesome backhand play to a guy wide open in front where they lose their coverage. And really, it's a combination of plays from Kolazar makes a good play, Haig makes a good play, Pearson makes a good play, Howden makes a good play. And the last game, it's Waugh, it's Barbashev, it's Smith. It's the guys down the lineup. And as much as this game we are going to walk away looking at that first period and say the reason that this game is won is probably because of the dominance of the first period, which Eichel and Carlson had a huge part of it. But in the end, it comes down to who's able to make that biggest play at the end. And so far in this series, it's been Vegas every single time. Whenever the game has gotten close, it's been Vegas each and every single time. And like, I'm not going to dive into what it looks like on the other side, because quite frankly, none of us give a shit. But I know that if it were us and it was completely backwards, we would be terrified at what's going on, horrified at how it has gotten to where it has gotten to. Because really, it's been incredibly tight. And maybe that means we're in for a game 7. I don't think it does. Because I think the Golden Knights figured something out as this game went on. I think they found a little bit of an answer. They've put themselves in a good position. And as was expected when this thing started, one coach is a Stanley Cup winning superstar, and one coach is terrible. He's awful. He's now 6-21 in the playoffs. He will be coaching his second ever game 6. He's never made it to a game 7. It's a massive advantage. And today you saw it. The decision to go with Eichel and Karlsson together, the way that the forwards were rolled out, the fact that Stone ends up popping up onto that line late in the third period and into overtime that gives you that extra push in that situation, not fucking up the challenge, which is what happened for them. Golden Knights get the challenge right, calmly, under control, know that they're going to make it happen, able to reset, come out, and take their bad period and throw it in the garbage and play a better one for the 4 minutes to start overtime. Like, that's where we're at. And really, like I said, the game comes down to a tale of like two stories of like the overview of it. Obviously, the offside, obviously Fleury's in there. There's so many different storylines that you can go for. But the 10,000-foot view of what does this particular game mean to the series, it does seem that the Golden Knights are starting to find answers to put themselves in a better position. I actually thought bounce-wise, it wasn't going great in the offensive zone, and that's maybe going to change as we go forward. So we'll see. But really, the Eichel-Karlsson combination, and we will see. I don't have any information on Dorofeev. I did not get a question in the postgame. There were a lot of questions. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things swirling. We will find a way to get that answer for you tomorrow. I don't know that we would have gotten a great answer tonight anyway. We'll get more on that tomorrow. Of course, that would be a guy that we don't want to see go out of the lineup, but Olofsson would go in. He is somewhat similar to Pavel, and that's not like a massive loss, as much as I understand the leading scorer going out's not ideal. But in this series, that hasn't been what's expected, what's necessary. So I think it will be okay. Nonetheless, the overwhelming sense of this game is that the Golden Knights have found a way to get consistent offense from Jack Eichel. And that's really what comes out of this. Because that's, without that, whether you win this series or not, which you probably wouldn't have without Jack coming alive, but even then, even if you do win the series, you're probably out of there, whether it's the next series or the following. And that's up to you, how much you care about how long the run goes. For me, it's win the cup or don't. I guess I guess a Western Conference championship would be cool to be back in there for a third time. Nonetheless, I think in the end, like, either you win it or you don't, and we restart and start over again next year. And if Jack didn't get going, that was not going to happen. And today, it did start to happen. He does start to carry the puck through the neutral zone a lot more. He is starting to find a little bit more space. He is backing the D off and getting those opportunities. Of course, the shorthanded goal, he recognizes what's going on there with them having the 5 forwards. Again, horrendous coaching on the other side. A complete and utter embarrassment. Like, if you're Minnesota, you got to be losing your mind over it. I know they score moments later, but like, to play 5 forwards against Jack Eichel and William Karlsson is moronic. It is absolutely moronic. And he figured it out. It took him a goal to figure it out, but it was stupid. And it probably cost them the game. Because maybe they do score without before that, and we know how the game ended up. But either way, it's like that move, putting Karlsson and Eichel together, it worked in a home game. We're going to see. Do we have a road game coming up? It worked in a home game. it seemed to work. It seemed to get Stone going when he got involved with that line. It certainly has Carlson looking like a dangerous option. And the crazy thing is that having only played 11 times as a winger in his Golden Knights career of 550 games or whatever it is, 556 or something like that, whatever the number is, the big number, William Karlsson's one of the few guys willing to go to the front. It's crazy that that's the case, right? Like, who would have thought that a guy who is not a big guy, not really a physical guy, not somebody who spends a lot of time in front of the goal as a center would be a guy that's going to go there over and over and over again. But that's what he's been. That's what he does. That's how they score the second goal. That's how they got a lot of chances in the second period, certainly a little bit in overtime. Like, that's what you get. And it's crazy to know that that's what you were going to get. This Periscope and all Periscopes are brought to you by the Jimmerson Law Firm. The Jimmerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas's preeminent law firms specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, seek out the Jimmerson Law Firm. Winning does matter. The Golden Knights have won 2 in a row in overtime, both of which it looked dicey there. It certainly looked dicey to start the third period up there in Minnesota, where they haven't lost a single game in regulation or at all. They have not lost a single game all season, having a lead going into the third. It looked dicey. They tie it. They get the lead. They give it back. We have to go to overtime. They have a power play in overtime. Like, there's a lot of scary moments. Today, obviously the scariest of all scary moments. They go offside, which thank God for that, because there's no reason in the world he has to go offside. Like, if you're Gus Nyquist, you got to be killing yourself over that, because there's no reason for it. Like, there was no reason for him to go offside. He's not in the play at all. Puck bounces up, it goes in. Like, that's their lucky bounce, I guess, for this game. They didn't get a couple of them earlier. I didn't think really either team got a ton of them in this particular game. It ends up being a game where the overall feeling of it, I thought it was probably Vegas's best. And that being said, that involved a third period that was not good. Now, I know Minnesota only got 5 shots. The game was tied for a good portion of it, so it's not like the Vegas was sitting back and trying to hold the line and hold the lead and do whatever the hell LA's doing that isn't working at all. But that was not a very good period. That could have potentially cost them the game and made life really difficult as we go back up there. But instead, you've got a team that figured it out. They figured it out. They needed everybody. They needed help from a guy jumping offside by a little bit. They needed help by their coach figuring it out. Their goalie coach, Dave Rogalski, shout out to him. Obviously, how many times have we done that over the course of many of years that he's been here? For sure there. But, man, thanks to Ace for this. Appreciate the super chat there. By the way, I'm heading up to Minnesota tomorrow. Thanks to Vegas Night and Day Heating and Cooling. VKDAC.com. Get your pre-summer maintenance special. It's $50. They come out to your house and they make sure that your air conditioning unit works and is going to work when it gets super hot. And it's going to get pretty hot tomorrow. I haven't looked. I know there was like a storm heading up towards Minnesota and then it didn't hit or something. I don't know. The algorithm on Twitter is like telling me that this is all happening. And I'm like, how do you even know? But I guess I was there. Either way, I'm going back thanks to VKDAC yet again. This will be the last trip up to Minnesota, and hopefully the next game that we see in this building is game 1, and it very well could be. I think the Golden Knights are now a massive favorite in this series, not just because the series says 3-2. Of course, that's a huge reason for it. If the overtime game there didn't go our way, if this one doesn't go our way, if that goal does go in and doesn't come back on the offside, if all those things happen, one of them doesn't happen, right? And it's 3-2 the other way. I still don't know that I would feel horrible about it, even down a game, because that first period means a lot. Like, I think that first period is going to be the beacon that, like, potentially lifts this team not only to this series, but onward. Like, I really do believe that period got it all together. It unlocks Jack. It starts to get you more from Karlsson. It gives you a situation where you're going to really start to feel like each other line can find ways to get more opportunities as we go forward, because that line is going to wipe out the best line on the other team while also generating offense. Granted, Boldy still scores. They still have a couple of chances. I thought Kaprizov was probably the least impactful he's been in any of the games this series. He also had the turnover right before the power play that led to the goal, the shorthanded goal for the Golden Knights. He then scores. I'm well aware of that. But it's a one-time shot on the back door. I didn't like, there's not a lot going on. He's not necessarily the one that makes the play. I thought they bottled him up a lot better at 5-on-5. Again, home game. It's the first time we've seen hard line matching in this series from Bruce Cassidy. He did a great job with it. They were all over them for a good portion of it. The sickness to Gustafsson ends up putting Fleury in the goal. I don't think that was like a negative for Minnesota. I think Fleury going in the situation that they're in, like, you sit there and you say, all right, like, they're going to defend at an even higher level. Like, I think they might have pushed a little bit more offensively if they didn't have Fleury back there. And then, I don't know, does that lead to a break? And I don't know. Like, the story was going to end up being Fleury, right? Like, we were going to end up at that. And luckily, it's now not. Like, that's a huge positive, because we don't, as far as I'm concerned, from a Golden Knights perspective, you don't want it to be that. We didn't need that story in the middle of this. And then I don't know what happens in the next game either way, but that's not what we needed. Instead, it now becomes about Tanner Pearson, about Brett Howden, and more so, I guess not more so, but also about finding the answer, finding the way forward that you didn't necessarily have. Power plays were excellent. Yeah, Karen, all right, I'll tell you about this. Called you out for Pearson going in. He played 7 minutes. Don't get me wrong. He makes a hell of a play. He made a great play. He's down underneath the goal. He makes a great play. Good for him. Well done to make that play. It's a play I don't know how many guys do make, because he's willing to push off and how that's going to go. But he played 7 minutes. Like, it happened. So putting him in ends up working. I don't know if that's Olofsson if he's down in that situation. I don't know if that's Kolazar into the goal. I don't know what happens. You have a different player. But no, like, you end up getting the goal, and it certainly maybe looks better. But also, he didn't play at all in the third period of the last game, and he barely played in this game. So it's like, good on him for getting the job done. But the bigger part of this, to me, is clearly getting Jack going. That's the biggest part of this. Yes, I know Stone scores the goal, and that's Karlsson in front, Jack pushing the defense back. The shorthanded goal, Karlsson scores the goal, Jack's the one pushing the defense back. The entire first period is dominated by the Golden Knights because of how great their first line was in this game. And that's finally happened, and that's why I feel really confident now that over the course of the next 2 games, you will get enough out of that group that you're going to find one more win out of the next 2 games. It's the first time. Game 1, I felt pretty good. Game 2, I was a little concerned because I saw some red flags in Game 1, and they all kind of cropped up in Game 2. Game 3, we were kind of on the edge a little bit, on the ledge or whatever, a little bit nervous there. Game 4, by towards the end of it, it's like the third period's about to start. We're really in somewhat of panic mode. So I don't feel like that confidence level has been there. And it's weird because the way that the goals come in the overtime periods, they're 2 goals that, like, I wish we could get some of this in regulation. I wish we could get more of these chances at 5-on-5 earlier in the game, because it's there, right? It has been there. It's there for Barbashev and Smith. It's there for Howden in the low slot. It's there for Kolazar to make the play and Haig to make the offensive play and Pearson on the backhand, knowing that that play is going to be there. Like, that's all been there. The depth of this team should be better than the opposition. In a way, it is the reason why they're finding a way to make it happen. In a way. I say that only in a way because they're not in this position until overtime. And that's the tricky part to taking the full on confident portion of this. I want to be full on confident. It's 3-2. You've won 2 in a row. You're in a great spot. But you were trailing to the start of the third period in game 4. You were trailing with a minute and 10 seconds left or whatever it was. It ends up not happening. Either way, I want more of that as we like earlier in the games. I would love more of that from the bottom lines, from the bottom 6, doing more of that, getting those opportunities, taking advantage of where I think there's a huge strength for the Golden Knights. I thought the defense kind of canceled each other out today. There was good, there was bad. Like, it wasn't a game like Theodore started getting going with the dangles in late there, and I thought maybe he was going to be able to kind of unlock that game. Hannafin had one chance where I thought he maybe had a really good look, but Trangelo had one that went wide. But really, the offense did not come a ton from the defensemen, so it kind of canceled out. Their top line did their thing. Vegas's top line did its thing. It ends up being effectively canceling out, sort of, even though most of the series, their top line's been significantly better. Now you actually have a little bit of an answer, and that's where the confidence is going to come for me. But the other piece is like, why is it taking till overtime to finally get that? To finally get that forecheck play, to get that play from under the goal, to get that loose puck in game 4. Like, that stuff can show up earlier, then we're probably winning game 6 without any problem. And we're certainly not losing both of the next 2 games if that can show up a little bit earlier. And I think the good news is it probably can. Howden had the illness, whatever was going on that forced a lot of changes in game 4. He finally gets it going as we get in this game. Also, it is tricky. There's a lot harder to kind of really rely on that bottom 6 when you're really attacking that matchup early. So it's hard to get in the rhythm. It's hard to get regular shifts for those guys. And I understand that if you end up with 6, 7, 8 minutes in a game, it's hard to actually make something happen. Sometimes it comes very well right at the end, which is what ends up occurring. But the confidence level that I have moving forward is in many ways based not on the depth, based not on the defense. It's based on the fact that the best player is here now. And even on the power play, where it was not able to finish, they did not finish a goal on this power play today, 0 for 3. It's nice that they've gotten 8 power plays in the last couple of games. Didn't get one for a good portion of the back half of the game. One of them's them doing a dumb shit challenge. Either way, it's a situation where, okay, now your power play's looking good. You've got a first line that's looking good. Hurdle did not have a hugely impactful game, but he has been very good over the course of this series, and I think he will continue to have those different matchups and be better as we move forward. The bottom 6 has gotten the job done at the most pivotal moments. Like, there's a lot of reasons. The goalie's done his job. Like, I don't understand what the yapping was about Aiden Hill for this game. Like, he did his job yet again. Yet again, only allows 2 goals. Yet again, if Vegas scores 3, they win. I don't even know what the number is. It's an insane number. It's like 50 times in a row when the Golden Knights have scored 3 in the playoffs, they win. And we got there again. You get to overtime, we're going to win when we get the next goal. It would have been that the whole way if that next goal comes. So to me, with Hill finding his way, doing the job that he needs to do, the defense doing enough of a job in front of them. I'm still a little nervous about the turnovers. It's not stopping. I don't think it's going to stop in game 6. And if we get to a game 7, I don't think it's going to stop. So that makes me a little bit nervous as we go forward. Yeah, Saad was good today. Last game, I don't remember him being as good. I still think there's a little concern about the fact that the puck doesn't tend to go in for him. And there's a reason why he's not on another playoff team because of that. He was good today. He had the jump today. He's also playing with 2 of the slower players, and so therefore the jump is going to look there because you're playing with 2 of the slower players. But again, I thought he was pretty good. Would be nice if those can end up in the goal. Like, I'm sure Minnesota's saying the same thing about Nyquist and Johansson and Gaudreau. Like, can we get some goals from some of those guys, from some of the other guys on the wings? Smith, Wah. Well, Wah got the one at overtime. Or no, he got the one in the power play. I guess there's been a little bit more from the Golden Knights, so that is good. The depth has been helpful. But again, like, power play was pretty good. Penalty kill got the job done in the situations that they had to. Really good there. Clogging the middle was pretty good. I didn't think there were a ton of great chances from Minnesota. I do think a little bit like the rush game. I don't really understand why they're losing the rush game. Really look back on it, they had the 2-on-1 right off the top of the game. They had a breakaway a little bit later that Zuccarello missed, I think, and it never even got it on goal. They have the one that Boldy gets in twice, basically in a row. They have the one that ends up coming back from Hartman, where really for Vegas, there wasn't a breakaway chance, and I don't believe there was a 2-on-1 chance in this game. So to be able to get across the line with 3 goals in 64 minutes, whatever it was, that's good. That is nice to see. But can we limit some of that? And like, I'm not going to look forward yet, but that's something you got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. Yeah, they have the breakaway out of the box, and that was kind of bullshit. You're right. That is valid. Did we have one out of the box? You're talking about theirs. They did have the one that came out of the box. I don't remember. I don't know. Either way, predict the same lines. Yeah, I don't think you can come off of it. I don't think there's an option. And I know, like, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be harder to find a way to get the matchup that you want, to put yourself in a position where you're going to get Eichel and Carlson out there as often against Boldy and Eriksson Ek. That being said, if they're out there against other lines, I'm pretty comfortable. I'm pretty happy. Like, I don't think that having just Eichel or just Carlson or just Hurdle or however the lines were before, I don't know that I'm feel good about saying one of them, any combination of it, is going to keep them off the board. So now you're in a situation where they're going to get looks where they don't have Eichel and Carlson against Kaprizov, Boldy, and Eriksson Ek, and maybe they do something. But for every shift that those guys get out there that is not against Eichel and Carlson, well, then that means Eichel and Carlson are going to get a shift against someone else. Worked again. It worked enough in the third period. They overcame a deficit. Whoa, I almost fell down there. They overcame a deficit in the third period in game 4, going with those lines. They get out to the 2-1 lead in this game, going with those lines. You draw a couple penalties, you have some pressure on them, you get the chance, a couple chances in overtime. Like, I felt pretty good about it. So yeah, I think you're probably going back to it. As you go down the lineup, I do think there are some question marks. Yes, we're going to always have the shining star of the goal that Kolazar, Howden, and Pearson end up scoring. That is awesome. Fantastic. The overall sense of their game was forgettable until the very end, which is good because now it's not forgettable. But if you're saying, what does it look like in the next game? Are we going to be great in that game? I don't know. But I know that we should get enough. They're starting to draw more penalties, which is a huge advantage. They have a little bit more of an answer if they get a defensive zone shift, knowing that they're going to put their top line out there. You have a little bit more of an answer for it. You found a way to unlock Jack Eichel a bit. You found a way to get Mark Stone a bit more engaged. Hurdle's still doing some of the things that he was doing. You're in a much better spot. The goalie's doing the job that they can do. Like, all of it, you're in a pretty good spot. And again, talking about the other side, this is a Minnesota team that has not won a playoff series since 2015, and they know it. Their fans know it. Their fans put the pressure on the players. The players are aware that this series, they had a chance. They were up 2-1. They had a lead. They were looking at 3-1. They had a chance in overtime. They didn't get it. 2-2, come back here. They had a chance towards the end of this game. They had another chance to get it in overtime. They couldn't do it. They know. One team comes in and one team now sits with a 3-2 lead saying, this is what we do. This is how things go when you play against us. It may not look pretty for us. There may be question marks around, can we score and can we do all these different things? But in the end, the score will say Vegas with a higher number than anyone else. That's what the Golden Knights expect. That's what they expected in Dallas. Didn't end up going that way, but that's what they expected the entire way through. That's what they expect here. Minnesota, on the flip side, that's not what they expect. They expect dumb shit to happen and for them to lose. Well, here's an example of it in their own mind, whether we want to believe it or not. Play's offside. The play's offside. It's a goofy play anyway. Puck goes in the net, but the play's offside. So there you go. Like, dumb shit may have happened, but the play was offside. They're going to feel that way. They're going to be frustrated about it, and I get it. And that's where the mentality for the Golden Knights into game 5 or 6, into game 6 is step on them. Whatever their pushback is going to be, whatever it's going to look like up there, I don't know what the crowd's going to look like. I don't know if they're going to be kind of on the edge, like nervous. I don't know if it's going to be super engaged. Like when you look at what it was in these last 2 games, up until the very last goal. So the Golden Knights score that very last goal to win the game and send it back at 2-2. They're coming in off a win. They score a couple goals early in game 3. They find a way to get it all the way to the end. They then get the lead again in game 4, the second game up there. Like, they're feeling good about what's going on all the way. All the way. They feel really good about it. Then now they're going to come back where the last memory they have is an overtime goal against them. The last memory that they've now seen in the series is another overtime goal against them. In between, they have what looked like a game winner that was going to give them the series lead taken away from them by this much. They're going to feel like, woe is us, here it goes again. So for the Golden Knights, get after them. Get after them immediately. Put a goal on the board, and they might go away. Like, it literally might be that simple. The players, the coach, they don't seem to have that mentality at the moment, but the crowd and the energy will be there. You could feel the energy in this building in the third period. Everybody in the building, everybody sitting at home, and therefore every guy on both benches felt it. They felt it. And what we felt was a nervous energy that, the story is there for them, for Minnesota. They felt it. Vegas's players felt it. 17, 18,000, all of us sitting up in the press box over here all felt it. Everyone feels it. And that's partially why I think it manifests towards a not great period for the Golden Knights in the third period. Like, I think that's part of it. It's there, especially once they get their goal. Once they get that goal, now it's like, oh no, right? And everybody's got the same feel. Now, the whole thing is flipped. You got your goal, you ripped that apart. Overtime, getting it to the intermission was massive, massive. Getting that break is massive, no question. But getting it there was huge. So here you are now with a trip to go back up there and win this series and wipe this team out. Vegas has not been great in closeout games other than basically the one where they smacked around. Well, I guess they smacked around some teams. Actually, they were pretty good in 2023. Now that I think back. Before that, it was a little bit of a problem. Thinking back to 2023, they smoked the team in all of them, right? Like, yeah, they lost a couple of them to Dallas, but they smoked Florida. They smoked Dallas in the last game. They smoked Edmonton in that last game. They smoked Winnipeg. So do it again. Go out, have that energy, put that building in a position where they feel like, shit, it's happened again. You've got the power to do it. The series is in control. You've got the lead. You've got the line that can do it. You've got your best player playing at his best level. You're in a good position. Go out there and smack them early in this game. Smack the players around, put the puck in the back of the net, and the rest of it will all take care of itself. That's why my confidence for where we are, knowing that they were probably, if they won this series, if they win this game, you're almost certainly winning the series. I feel really good about that. I do think there is a chance we do have to come back for game 7. Either way, I feel really good about the Golden Knights winning this series, probably for the first time since the games have actually been started being played. Like, I felt all right after game 1, pretty good. You've got the 1-0 lead. You're in pretty good shape. you're now in a position where you're in an excellent shape. You need 1 out of 2 games. I think they're in good shape. Thanks again to the Jimmerson Law Firm for sponsoring all the Periscopes this season. Thanks to Vegas Night and Day Heating and Cooling for sponsoring my playoff travel. I'm on the road tomorrow. Get into Minnesota pretty late. We'll be at morning skate on Thursday morning. Game on Thursday afternoon. It's a 4:30 Vegas time, 6:30 local, which is interesting. Nice for me because my flight out's at 8:30, so I'm actually going to get some sleep that night, which is nice. So we got that coming up. Minnesota.vegas is where you go to get all the latest updates on practice schedules, schedule for the series, injuries, all you name it. We'll have all of it right there. Go to Minnesota.vegas. That is presented by .vegas Domains, as they have presented our podcasts all season. They've been a great sponsor with us for all season long and been a huge part of the website since we started because we're SinBin.vegas. They've been around. That is all I've got for tonight. The Golden Knights are up 3-2. It's the first lead in the series since 1-0, and it's easily the best any of us can feel. Like, I don't think anybody can feel bad where we're at the moment. Is it over? It is not. It is not over. Like, there's still a lot of work to do. They have not taken complete control of basically any game in this series, where the other team has a couple of different times. So go out and do it in game 6. The one game that you need, take control, rip this thing away, end it now, figure it out early in that game, beat them up here early, and they will probably go away. I think that very well may happen. That's all I got. Good night, everybody.